Kiritsugu Emiya and his wife Irisveil von Einsborn celebrate the birth of their daughter Ilyasveil in Germany 8 years ago. Though Kiritsugu worries that he may betray Irisveil in the approaching Fourth Holy Grail War, she tells him that he is a fine guy who will uphold their beliefs. Kirei Kodamine, a priest, learns 3 years ago that he has been selected to participate in the Holy Grail War. Kiri's father, Risai Kodamine, the war's moderator on behalf of the Church of the Eighth Sacrament, and another participant, Tokiomi Tosaka, arranged for Kirei to become Tokiomi's magecraft apprentice, in order to give Tokiomi an edge, and to assist Kirei to cope with the loss of his wife. Kariya Mato pays a visit to his childhood friend Aoi Tosaka and her kids, Rin and Sakura, in Fuyuki City a year ago. Kariya is astounded to find that Sakura has been adopted by the Mato family as an heir with magical abilities, and he is appalled to realize what has been done to her. In front of his father, Zuken Mato, Kariya makes a bargain to implant himself with parasitic worms that would provide him with the power he needs to fight in the oncoming battle. Sakura will be liberated and restored to her family if he obtains the Grail. In the present, Kenneth L. Malloy Archibald rejects and humiliates one of his pupils, Waver Velvet, who believes that anybody may become a great wizard by hard work and practice rather than lineage alone. In order to join the conflict, Waver intends to prove his instructor incorrect by taking Kenneth's artifact, which is required to call a servant. As Kirei, who is now called his servant assassin, Hasanai Sabah, and Kiritsugu learn of one another's abilities, they are both troubled by the fact that they do not know what the other man's war aims are. Irisveil is optimistic after receiving the scabbard of the sword Excalibur, while Kiritsugu is concerned that Arthur's chivalry will conflict with his pragmatic ways. Kiritsugu and Irisveil are startled to find that the summoned saber is really a woman, as Kiritsugu, Tokiomi, Kariya, and Waver each call their servants. Waver struggles to command his servant rider, Iskander, who is more interested in how the world has evolved since his time, and plans to dominate it after the conflict is over. Saber has a negative impression of Kiritsugu and considers him cold-hearted, so he's astonished to witness him having a sweet moment with his daughter Ilya. Saber says that she admires Kiritsugu and Irisveil's desire to rescue the world, much as she aspires to preserve Britain. Runosuke Yuri, a serial murderer in Fuyuki City, has slain a whole family, save a little kid, in order to summon a demon, but unintentionally summons the servant Castor, Gilles de Rais. When Yuri gives the youngster as a sacrifice to Castor, Castor appears to let him escape before killing him with a terrible Cthulhu-esque creature. Yuri, pleased to encounter someone as vicious as him, promises to follow Castor wherever he goes, and eventually becomes his master. Kirei orders Assassin to assassinate Tokiomi after discovering that the 7th and final master has been selected, only for Assassin to be slain by Tokiomi's servant archer, Gilgamesh, while trying to break into his house. Kiri declares his withdrawal from the fight as a result of Assassin's death, and is offered shelter by Risai. This, however, is a deception by Kirei, Risai, and Tokiomi, since Assassin is a group of several dozen individuals. Kirei may dispatch the assassins to spy on them without anybody suspecting him. Waver notifies Ryder of Assassin's death, but the latter is only concerned with defeating President Clinton, gaining his country's military weaponry, and having a good time. Irisveil and Saber arrive at Fuyuki City to meet up with Kiritsugu, but they opt to explore the city instead, since it is Irisveil's first trip overseas. Meanwhile, Kiritsugu meets with his aide, Maya Hasayu, who tells him that the other masters think Irisveil is Saber's master, and that she is smuggled in the weaponry they need for the conflict, including his contender pistol. As Irisveil enjoys herself at the beach at night, Saber notices another servant at the dock. When they arrive, they are met by Lancer, Diarmid Udebne, who challenges Saber to a fight. Saber and Lancer battle while complimenting one another on their talents and gallantry. At the same time, Kiritsugu and Maya are spying the combat, with Kiritsugu detecting Lancer's concealed master. As he prepares to shoot him, Kiritsugu notices Assassin, who is transmitting the combat to Kiri and Tokiomi. Lancer's master instructs him to employ his noble Phantasma's Gaijarik, a long red spear that negates all magic, and Gaibuya, a little yellow spear that inflicts unhealable wounds. Saber knows Lancer's identity based on them, whereas Lancer finds Saber's identity by using Gaijarik to briefly break the invisibility enhancement on her blade, Excalibur. Saber, whose left arm tendon was injured by Lancer's Gai Booyah, is ready to give it her all when Waver and Ryder, who are watching the action from afar, unexpectedly ride down to the port atop Ryder's Gordius wheel chariot, interrupting the combat. Ryder approaches Saber and Lancer and invites them to join his army, but both reject. Cainith exposes himself as Lancer's master and mocks Waver, but Ryder defends him. Soon later, Archer enters the fight against Berserker, Karya's servant, who employs a noble phantasm called For Someone's Glory, a black fog that envelops him and blocks any efforts to gouge his power. Archer assaults Berserker with his noble phantasm gate of Babylon, changing his blade into a key to open a secret vault housing a large amount of weapons. But Berserker continues escaping and utilizing Archer's weapons against him. Tokiyomi uses a command seal to command Archer to retire from the combat. Much to Archer's chagrin, Berserker assaults Saber, revealing his second noble phantasm, Knight of Order, which allows him to convert whatever he holds into a noble phantasm. Lancer protects Saber out of chivalry, but Cainith uses a command seal to compel him to aid Berserker and murder Saber. However, Ryder intervenes and incapacitates Berserker, who retires, and tells Cainith to leave or else he would ally with Saber and destroy Lancer. Ryder promises Saber that he will not fight Cainith or Lancer until their battle is over. Castor watches the combat via a crystal ball and realizes Saber is his long-lost love, while Kirei realizes that the cathedral was being watched on by a familiar. Irisveil and Saber are going to Einsburn Castle when they come across Castor, who thinks Saber is Jeanne d'Arc, but Saber corrects him and drives him away. Castor returns to his hideaway, thinking that Jeanne has lost her memory. Cainith chastises Lancer for failing to kill Saber in his hotel. Sola Yui Nuwara Ri Sophia Rai, Cainith's betrothed, defends Lancer and has fallen for him because of the beauty mark beneath his right eye. When the hotel's residents are told to flee owing to suspected fire, Cainith thinks Saber's master has arrived. Kiritsugu and Maya use explosives to blow up the hotel after ensuring that all civilians have departed. Kirei finds Maya, but she escapes owing to Kiritsugu's smoke bomb. When the assassins notify Kirei, Risai, and Tokiyomi that Castor and Yuri have been kidnapped and sacrificing children, Risai is appalled by their senseless deaths and risking the war's secret. In a conference, Archer persuades Kirei to spy on the other masters and understand what drives them in order to discover his own ambitions. Risai notifies all active masters that the conflict will be paused until Castor, whose child murders have gained public notice, is exterminated, with an extra command seal as a prize. Despite Saber's protestations, Kiritsugu wants to utilize the search for Castor to assault the other masters at Einsburn Castle. As Kiritsugu confides in Irisveil that he would rather leave with her and their daughter and live in peace elsewhere, Irisveil senses Castor returning from the jungle with more children to sacrifice, and sends Saber after him. Saber is ambushed and besieged by Castor's noble phantasm, Prelati's spellbook, which allows him to conjure monsters, until Lancer enters and joins forces with her. As Irisveil and Maya depart the castle, Cainith, who survived the hotel explosion owing to his volumen hydrogerum, a large magical blob of mercury, infiltrates the castle to combat Kiritsugu, who invades Cainith with his Calico M950 and makes a surprise assault with his contender pistol. Irisveil and Maya are ready to flee through the woods when Irisveil notices Kirei approaching. Instead of avoiding him, Irisveil and Maya decide to face him in order to defend Kiritsugu. They are, however, both outmatched. Meanwhile, Kiritsugu is able to injure Cainith with his contender pistol. Cainith chooses to strengthen his Volumen Hydrogerum's defenses even further, believing the assault was a fluke. Saber and Lancer continue to face Castor's waves of demonic monsters, who are seemingly unlimited because to his noble phantasm, his grimoire. Saber clears the way for Lancer, who pierces Castor's grimoire with Gai Jirok, cutting off his supply of mana and quickly destroying his minions, prompting him to escape. Kiritsugu eventually arrives after hiding from an irate and wounded Cainith and shoots him with his contender again. Because the contender employs anti-magic bullets, Cainith's Volumen Hydrogerum not only fails to shield him, but also magnifies his injuries, leading him to pass out in a pool of his own blood. Lancer comes to assist his comatose master, while Saber races to save Irisveil from Kirei. As Kirei interrogates Irisveil about Kiritsugu, an assassin alerts him of Saber's approach, prompting him to stab Irisveil before leaving. Irisveil lives thanks to Saber's magical healing scabbard, Avalon, placed inside her, and goes on to cure Maya. Kaneth awakens with his body bound to a bed. Sola Yui informs Kaneth that Kiritsugu's bullets shattered his magic circuits within his body, and he would never be able to utilize magic again. Kaneth agrees to be Lancer's new master, but realizes she's doing it because Sola Yui has affections for Lancer. After Sola Yui attempts to shatter his fingers in retaliation, he ultimately yields and gives her Lancer's command seals. Despite the fact that Sola Yui has become his new master, Lancer desires to stay faithful to Kaneth. But Sola Yui persuades him to continue fighting with her, citing Kaneth's honor as an excuse. Despite Irisville and Saber's desires to stop Castor, Kiritsugu resolves to go after Kaneth. Meanwhile, Waver and Ryder uncover Castor's hideout and are shocked to see the disfigured remains of his victims. Ryder kills an assassin who is after Waver and drives off 2 more before lighting Castor's lair on fire. With Waver and Ryder now aware of their secret, Tokiyomi orders Kirei to dispatch his assassins to spy on them. The focus then shifts to Rin, where we learn of her involvement in the Fuyuki City kidnappings. Despite her young age, Rin is eager to follow in her father's footsteps as a renowned mage. Tokiyomi sends Aoi and Rin away for their own protection, as the Holy Grail War is about to begin. Several students at Rin's new school, including her closest friend Katone, have been abducted by the Fuyuki serial killer, subsequently revealed to be Yuri. Rin travels to Fuyuki City alone in order to rescue Katone. She ultimately catches Yuri using a magic bracelet to mesmerize children using a mana detector given to her by her father. Rin pursues Yuri to his hideaway, where she is discovered by him. Rin overloads Yuri's bracelet with mana, incapacitating him and liberating the children from his grip. Rin returns home, only to be assaulted by one of Castor's creatures. However, Karia rushes to her aid and subsequently passes her over to Aoi. Kiri, who had been spying on them via assassin, instructs his servant to continue observing Ainsburn Castle. Ryder proclaims his goal to have a calm dialogue with her and Archer about kingship and the wishes they want the Grail to fulfill. Archer just wants it so that no one can take it from him, but Ryder wants it so that he may be reborn and fulfill his ambition of global domination. Saber believes that a king should serve his people selflessly and desires to utilize the Grail's power to preserve Britain. Ryder attacks her, claiming that Saber's emotional detachment from her followers contributed to their disillusionment and promotes his own ideal. Namely that everyone should serve the monarch, whose grandiose goals motivate them in turn. The assassins arrive, interrupting their conversation. When they refuse Ryder's invitation to the feast, he summons his noble phantasm, Ionian Hitari, which is made up of a large number of devoted warriors who become servants after their deaths. Ryder and his men quickly annihilate every single assassin. Ryder leaves after telling Saber that he no longer recognizes her as king. Saber, uneasy, tells Irisville that one of her knights, Tristan, departed Camelot because he was uncomfortable with her leadership. Tokiyomi and Kirei now know of Ryder's noble phantasm thanks to information supplied by the assassins before their destruction, and they decide to let him assault the other servants first before attacking him. While Maya brings Irisville and Saber to their new center of operations, Kiritsugu goes through his information on the other participants' positions. Saber brings up Irisville's strange conduct at their new headquarters, forcing her to reveal that her abilities have deteriorated. Archer challenges Kirei about what he learned from spying on the other masters, and points out that Kirei has exhibited an extraordinary amount of interest in Karia, considering the little danger he offers. Archer deduces from this that Kirei likes seeing other people's agony and suffering. Though first hesitant to admit his evil side, Kirei finally caves in, at which time the command seals return on his palm, indicating that he is still a competitor. However, since he presently lacks a servant, Archer suggests that he murder another master and seize possession of their servant. Yuri and Castor return to their hideaway, only to see their artwork destroyed by Ryder's fire. Yuri cheers Castor up by revealing his warped belief that God, whom Castor blames the most for Jean's murder, is merely a bystander who likes watching mankind do whatever they want. Castor, inspired by his master's ideals, devises a great show for God to see. Meanwhile, Waver has second thoughts about whether he is a good master for Ryder, but Ryder urges him to trust in himself. Suddenly, Waver, Ryder, Irisville, and Saber feel power emanating from the Mayon River. When they arrive, they see Castor creating a massive demonic creature. Ryder notifies the other candidates, and they all agree on a temporary alliance to defeat Castor before his monster kills the city. Saber joins Ryder in the vanguard, allowing Lancer to unleash his spears on Castor. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading part 2 of this series soon, so I'll see you at the next one.